Well, Hebrews chapter 9 is a chapter of amazing contrast. The first 10 verses deal with the tabernacle in the wilderness that Moses was called to build and became the focus of the camp. It was right there in the center of the camp as the children of Israel traveled through the wilderness, and it was there that Moses encountered God face to face. It was there that Aaron took the annual sacrifice on the Day of Atonement, the blood of bulls and goats, in order to cleanse the whole camp and keep the people holy. But this chapter is telling us this was a temporary thing. Chapter 8 verse 13 tells us that these things were aging and they were obsolete and they would soon disappear. And although the tabernacle was replaced by the temple itself has now been destroyed. And while there are some people, some Christians who think that one day there will be a third temple in Jerusalem, there's no need. It quite defeats the point. Jesus has come, and this chapter makes it very clear that what he achieved on the cross is an eternal sacrifice that needs no repetition. In fact, in verse 10, the writer says, "These are only matters of food and drink and various ceremonial washings, external regulations applying until the time of the new order." What Jesus did was he ushered in a new order, a new covenant, a new salvation. No, the true salvation. And that is where we base our hope and our faith on. But what is clear is while the temple replaced the tabernacle, there is no building that's replaced the temple. It's not about the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. It's not about the Vatican or any other great edifice around the world. No, Christ came, and in his body, he died a death. There was a real blood sacrifice, as the chapter says in verse 22, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. So there has to be a physical sacrifice. And that was what happened with Jesus on the cross. But there's much more going on there than this. In verse 11, he says, "When Christ came as the high priest of the good things that are already here, he went through the greater and more perfect tabernacle that is not man-made." That is to say, not a part of this creation. What's that all about then? Well, the writer is telling us that Christ himself on the cross didn't just die physically, but he, as it were, entered into heaven itself. He says this quite explicitly. Verse 24, Christ did not enter a man-made sanctuary that was only a copy of the true one. He entered heaven itself, now to appear for us in God's presence. Nor did he enter heaven to offer himself again and again, the way the high priest enters the most holy place every year with blood not his own. No, once and for all, and that will be expanded in chapter 10, Jesus died for our sins to bring us an eternal redemption. But that is not located in this present world. We're being called beyond. We're being called to leave behind our focus on the here and now. Yes, this earth will be renewed and we will live in it in physical bodies. We have a physical inheritance to look forward to. But it's not part of this current age. It's the age to come. And in verse 28, it tells us that Christ was sacrificed once to take away the sins of many people, and he will appear a second time, not to bear sin, but to bring salvation for those who are waiting for him. That's when our redemption is secured, fulfilled, completed, and we shall enter in to the fullness of that which Christ has bought for us.